analysis and visualization going on. People submit their work on Twitter and share it so that everyone can see it. Every Wednesday, we run a 60 to 75-minute webinar called Viz Review with the specific hashtag and a Viz Review. And in that webinar, which currently I run with Sarah Bartlett and Jeff Schaefer, kind of every now and then we swap over. In this webinar, we give people feedback on their visits. And the idea being purely that people should learn, and this is an opportunity for them to give feedback. It's very difficult for me to respond or even to like every single tweet that comes in because we do have hundreds of participants. I also do this, in my spare time, which is not something I'm complaining about, but it just means there's only so much time available for it. So the best way to get comprehensive feedback is to join the webinar. And to do that, the simple process is create your visualization and tweet it out at least 4 hours before the webinar using the hashtag, but also make sure that you are registered for the webinar ahead of time, because we only give feedback to people who register ahead of time, because otherwise we don't know whether they will actually watch the webinar. And then on a Thursday, we go through the submissions that came in during the week. We review what's been going on. There's still a little bit of back and forth, especially because people based on the webinar implement changes and basically create a makeover of their own makeover. So the idea of the webinar is we give people feedback, but we also expect them to do something with it, because otherwise, why do we bother? And then on a Friday, we publish our weekly favorites. So this is on our blog, on the website, makeovermonday.co.uk. We publish the favorites from the week. And what we do there is not just pick the most impressive, visually artistic visualization, but also things that just show best practices. So you'll see lots of bar charts and lots of line charts on there, because we want to encourage people to use best practices, but we also want to, promote people's creativity. And some people just really go to a lot of effort and create stunning visuals. And then on Saturday, we prepare for the next week. So I said there is no deadline, and there really isn't. You can participate in any week for any topic. But if you want to be included in the Viz Review and the kind of current feedback, we always just talk about the current week. If someone submits a Viz now from 10 weeks ago, we tend to kind of not ignore it, but we don't really engage in conversation because there's so much always going on in the current week. Why should you join us? Because it sounds like quite a bit of work, right? You build a Viz and you submit it, maybe you get some feedback, you work on your Viz again. What is going to be the outcome? What's the benefit for you? The first thing is that you can build your skills. So you can challenge yourself with a new data set every week. We have a lot of random topics. This week we're talking about how much sex Americans are having. Last week we looked at migration to Europe, and we talk about sports, politics, plastic pollution, the environment, anything and everything goes. Then you can also, because of that, practice lots of different chart types. Now, I think most data sets you could probably create a bar chart with, but there are data sets that really lend themselves to something you want to test out. Maybe it's a donut chart. Maybe it's a small multiples or a waffle chart. Maybe it's a hex map or something else. So using these different data sets gives you a chance every week to practice something new and to learn a new technique. And of course, you learn about best practices because that's the whole idea of it. You can, in that process, build your DATAVIZ portfolio. Now, I hope that many of you already have a Tableau Public profile. Who has a Tableau Public profile? Who has a page on there? Okay, a couple, maybe the same people who've maybe done Makeover Monday before. So I strongly encourage you to all get set up on Tableau Public. It doesn't cost anything, and if you don't use it, you don't use it, that's fine. But it is a chance for you to have a dedicated place where you can publish all your Tableau visualizations, and you can have that seen by others. So it shows others what you're capable of in terms of analysis and design, but also it's a proof of what you can do. So when you go out, maybe you're looking for a new job or even just a promotion within your existing organization, you can say, well, this is all the stuff I'm capable of doing. If you hire me, then I can apply these skills in your organization. And also because it is a very busy and very, staying up to date kind of platform, it's easy to get noticed there. So there are people who maybe are looking for talent and they will keep track of the people that they see emerging in the field. So they can just see, well, okay, there's another 10 visualizations and there's another 10, and they will sift through and see, okay, I'm actually going to tap this person on the shoulder and offer them a job. And this stuff actually happens. And maybe going back to that, so we know of over 50 people who, through Makeover Monday, have actually found a new job. So they built their portfolio, they put their skills out there, they built a profile in the Tableau community, and it meant that when they interviewed for a job, they could actually give people proof of what they're capable of. So over 50 people in the last 2 years that we know of. Makeover Monday is also an opportunity to learn and get inspired. So you'll find every week dozens of visualizations that you will probably see. I try not to miss any, but it happens because of weird Twitter algorithms that just don't show me everything that I'm searching for. But you see dozens and dozens of visualizations of the same data set. And when you think about it, in your normal day job, if you work with data and you build visualizations, on a given data set, you probably only see maximum a handful of different approaches. But here you see so many different ways of tackling the same data in 1 week, and the next week it's the same again. And you can learn what other people are doing. And Dorian actually is someone who has really pushed the boundaries, and he experiments and he's built visualizations, and then others download and they're like, hey, this is really cool, I want to learn how to do this. So you get a lot of inspiration there. And on Tableau Public, the beauty of it is that by default, most people have it set up so you can download their work. You can open it in Tableau and you can take it apart and see how they did something. And then, of course, that transfers over into your day job, because what you learn there is not confined to Makeover Monday. You can connect with others and grow your network. And similar to what you're doing now with the Tableau user group, this also happens with Makeover Monday. On the one hand, we have the online community, people that basically talk to each other every week. Then there's Sarah and I and Andy talking to people through the webinars, but also through Twitter and our suggestions. And you get help from others as well if you have a question. And then we sometimes run, typically as part of the conferences, but also sometimes ad hoc as well. We run Makeover Monday live events in certain cities, typically around Europe, where people can meet. And it's almost like a family reunion. So they've met online and now, not in a dating sense, just in a DATAVIZ sense. They've met online, now they're meeting in person. So you can really grow your network. And at the same time, you will be noticed, because the reason why we use Twitter and not some smaller kind of sub platform is because we want everyone's work to be very visible, because it means that people in the DATAVIZ community who don't participate in Makeover Monday can also notice your work. And you can make an impact. So what we do is we collaborate with organizations in the nonprofit sector, and we help them by giving the organization access to our people, to our great community of hundreds of people who participate regularly. And we give our community a challenge with the data from the nonprofit and a visualization. And immediately, out of the one viz they had, they suddenly get dozens, if not hundreds, of alternatives that they can use to get their mission out there into the world. So what do we provide for you for your participation? We have written a book, and this book contains lessons about visualization best practices. I highly recommend it, of course, because we've written it, but also because we have put together all of the lessons learned from the last 2 years of doing Makeover Monday, running the community, identifying best practices, but also novel approaches to certain data types. And it is full of pictures. We have over 300 pictures in this book to give lots and lots of examples for people. And it also talks about the community. We have Viz Review, so that's the weekly webinar. You get advice on your visualization that you submitted, and you can also see what advice we give to others. So in the 60 to 75 minutes, we cover anywhere between 20 to 30 visualizations, depending on topic and the complexity. And we look at people's analysis, how they designed and laid out the visualization, what their story flow is, how is the interactivity with dashboard actions and their formatting. And we give them advice on each of those points. And we have a lot of people actually joining, not submitting a viz. So we typically have between 50 and 70 people joining the webinar, but we only cover 30 vizzes. So these other people are just listening to learn. And that is an opportunity that's always open for you. You don't have to submit. You could just dial in and learn from it and apply that to your own work. And then we also have the favorites. And we highlight these every week so that people see what is best practices, but also what are some great ways to do storytelling and what are some maybe different angles on the data that not everyone found. The way to participate, it's actually pretty straightforward, and we have a few simple steps. So when we publish the data, my recommendation is don't go straight into visualization mode, but first read the article. Often it's a newspaper article or an online news article, and it gives you a lot of context, and it allows you to understand why the visualization was built in the first place, what it's trying to show, etc. Then think about, well, with this viz, what's actually good about it and maybe what's not so good about it. Then, so this is typically our approach. Then we move over to analyzing and visualizing the data. So exploring it in Tableau. Once you've built your viz, and this does not have to be a massive dashboard, it could just be a single chart. There's no rules about that. You publish it on Tableau Public or wherever you publish your viz, and you share it on Twitter with the hashtag Makeover Monday. And if you do want feedback in the webinar, but please only use this hashtag if you want feedback in the webinar, add the hashtag NNViz review and also register for the webinar. We have those on the website, and the URLs will come up shortly. You can register. They're normally posted for a few weeks in advance. And then you join the webinar so you can learn and get some feedback, apply the feedback or a portion of the feedback, and then share it again. And we also have a submissions process. And the submission is so that we can track who's participating, not to control things, but just so we have some numbers. Because every year when we go to Tableau conference, they say, how big a room do we need? How many people are participating? And so far we had to kind of guess it, but now we have solid numbers. Also, it lets us show others how big the project is and how much influence it can have. Where to participate. So these are the important places for Makeover Monday. So the data, and we tweet all of this out. So if you look in the top right corner, Twitter, hashtag Makeover Monday, and then these are our Twitter handles. This was the I for Andy, and try my data for myself. If you follow us, you will see this all happening. Anyway, but makeovermonday.co.uk/data is where you find the data. makeovermonday.co.uk/submit is a very short Google form that just feeds the Google Sheet for us to track the submissions. And then the webinars are under makeovermonday.co.uk/webinars, where you can pre-register for all of the ones that we have scheduled. And I kind of do this roughly every month. Sometimes I manage to do it for an entire quarter, but I try and schedule them in advance so people can just sign up for them. And then you also see vizwiz.com and trymydata.com. That's our own personal blogs, where every week we publish a blog post about the current challenge, what we think is good or bad about the original, and how we approached it, as well as our visualization. So that's basically how it works. And this is our website. And are there any questions? Because this is my little intro to Makeover Monday. No questions? Okay. Yeah, that's me, Dorian. I don't have anything else to add at this point. I think it's mostly an experience that you just have to go through, and really it's not rocket science.
It's the best experience. Well, thank you for doing this. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Thank you for doing this, and we hope to have more participants in the Makeover Monday in the near future, hopefully next week probably. And
that would be great.
We will try a Romanian makeover right now with a Romanian data set, and we'll see where that takes us.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Have fun. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.